I'm a volunteer with the Lake Erie Warbirds, which is a friend of mine owns this airplane, and I and some other folks help him operate the airplane and take it to air shows like here at Thunder over Michigan. The airplane behind me was built in 1945, and the designation was TB, and that stood for Torpedo Bomber. It was one of 7,500 built by General Motors in New Jersey, and so they called it a TBM, M for General Motors. Now the name TB Torpedo Bomber, behind me you should be able to see the bomb bay there that's open, that long, thin whitish door. And the airplane before this, the Torpedo Bomber, was the TB Torpedo Bomber, D for Douglas. The company name was Douglas. And that was called the Devastator. It was like mid-1930s, and it carried the torpedo external. The airplane was very slow, partly because of that. So when they designed this as a replacement, the requirement was to put the torpedo inside the airplane. So designed to drop one torpedo, but it could, instead of torpedo, it could carry bombs. On the wings you'll see rockets. There's a .50 caliber machine gun in each wing. It could carry bombs, rockets, depth charges for anti-submarine, mines. It was the aircraft carrier's dump truck, if you will. It's not a fighter, it's not a Corsair. It flies like a 1-ton pickup truck. I mean, it's a heavy, big airplane. The Avenger was the largest aircraft carrier-based airplane of World War II, of all sides, Axis or Allied. And one of the reasons they could make it so large was the horsepower that was available. This is called, the company name was Curtiss-Wright, and the designation is R for radial 2600. That's 2,600 cubic inches of displacement in 14 cylinders. It'll produce 1,900 horsepower. And the engine, you get a close-up shot of it, you'll see it's called a radial because the pistons are arranged in a circle. So you have 7 cylinders in front, and you have 7 cylinders displaced behind them. So 14 cylinders, and burned about 85 gallons of aviation gasoline an hour. And of course, it's designed to operate off an aircraft carrier. When it lands, there's no room on the deck to park. So these wings fold backwards. So they would land, hopefully catch a wire with the tail hook, which is on this airplane. And as soon as they stopped, they would get that tail hook disconnected from the wire. They'd quickly taxi forward, folding the wings. And then, because right behind them was the next airplane trying to land, so they had to taxi this one forward. They didn't have time to get it down below, so they just put up 5 wires as a barrier. If the next airplane landing missed all those cables, the hope was that the wires would keep it from playing crash cars into the rest of the airplane. The most famous pilot of one of these was a gentleman by the name of George Herbert Walker Bush. As a 20-year-old, he flew 58 combat missions off the light carrier USS San Jacinto, and 58 missions in the Pacific. He was shot down off the island of Chichijima, and about 600 miles from Tokyo. And the only reason he survived, he parachuted down. About 3.5 hours later, a U.S. submarine that was on lifeguard duty was able to get to him and rescue him from his life raft before the Japanese caught him. His 2 other crewmen were never recovered. They were never found. They did not survive.